نريد لبنان ملتقى وفاق عربي.
Good afternoon on this Tuesday, 20th December. I'm Yumna Naufal. You're watching the English newscast, and these are today's top stories. Lebanon's Saad Hariri officially assumes the office of Prime Minister and is welcomed to the Grand Sarai by an honor guard parade. Russian investigators are working to determine whether the assassination of their ambassador to Turkey was the work of a lone gunman or part of a wider conspiracy. And German Chancellor Angela Merkel says the authorities believe a deadly rampage by a lorry driver at a Berlin Christmas market is a terrorist attack. Lebanon's Saad Hariri officially assumes the office of Prime Minister and was welcomed earlier this morning to the Grand Sarai by an honor guard. Hariri was received by Cabinet Secretary General Fouad Fleifel, and he is expected to have attended his first meeting with the newly formed cabinet later today. The meeting will be chaired by President Michel Aoun at the Babda Palace. The first item on the cabinet's agenda is to form a ministerial committee to draft the government's policy statement. Former Prime Minister Tamam Salam did not attend the handover ceremony at the Grand Sarai. However, he did speak by phone with Hariri to congratulate him on the formation of the new government. Salam wished Hariri success in his endeavors and next missions, particularly in the critical stage through which the country is passing through and which requires combined efforts by everyone to serve the national interest. And so Lebanon's newly created cabinet won more international praise, with the UN Security Council, Britain, Spain and Turkey hailing the formation of the government. The Security Council welcomed the formation of the cabinet in Lebanon, underlining the need to preserve stability in the country. It also urged Lebanese political leaders to build on the momentum of national unity and ensure Lebanon's ability to address the pressing security, economic, social and humanitarian challenges. The Council also called on the international community, including international aid organizations, to help Lebanon address challenges. The Security Council members stressed the need for Lebanon to abide by its policy of dissociation on the Syrian conflict and to cease any involvement in the Syrian crisis, consistent with their commitment in the declaration of Babda. Syria's army is urging the last remaining rebels and civilians to leave the bombed-out eastern quarters of Aleppo, according to a military source. The army is expected to enter Aleppo to clean the area after the fighters leave. The soldiers issued a call over megaphones to the remaining fighters and civilians who want to leave to exit the eastern districts. Thousands of people have been evacuated from Syria's second city since a landmark deal brokered by Turkey and Russia was reached last week. The agreement for civilians and rebels to quit the last sliver of opposition-controlled territory in the city paves the way for the government to declare full control over Aleppo. Aleppo was once Syria's commercial and industrial hub, but it has been divided since 2012 between government forces in the west and rebel control in the east. Russian investigators are working to determine whether the assassination of their ambassador to Turkey was the work of a lone gunman or part of a wider conspiracy, as the two countries, which have backed opposing sides in the Syrian war, say they will not let the killing disrupt efforts to repair their relationship. In a separate attack, a man with a shotgun was detained after he fired into the air outside the U.S. Embassy in Ankara. Ambassador Andrei Karlov was shot dead on Monday night by a Turkish policeman who shouted slogans about Aleppo, the Syrian city where Russian bombardments have targeted rebel factions. Authorities identified him as a 22-year-old member of Ankara's riot police squad, but did not disclose any motive for the attack. Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said Turkey and Russia would work together to determine who was behind the heinous terror attack against Karlov, who was killed in front of a stunned audience while making remarks at a photo exhibition in Ankara. Coming up next, President Obama says one of his missions after leaving office will be to develop a new generation of leaders. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says that authorities believe the deadly rampage by a lorry driver at a Berlin Christmas market was a terrorist attack likely committed by an asylum seeker. According to what we know, she said, we have to assume this was a terrorist attack. She was visibly moved and dressed in black. And she was talking to reporters, adding that if it is confirmed that the suspect who was detained after the lorry attack killed 12 people in a large crowd was an asylum seeker, it would be particularly sickening in relation to many Germans who are involved every day in helping refugees. She added it would also be repugnant toward the many people who need protection every day and who are working on integration in Germany. Merkel said she personally was horrified, shocked, and deeply saddened by the attack and would visit the site later today with her Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière and Berlin Mayor Michael Müller. The U.S. Electoral College is expected to officially select Republican Donald Trump as the next president in a vote that is usually routine but takes place this year amid allegations of Russian hacking to try to influence the election. At meetings scheduled in every state and the District of Columbia, the institution's 538 electors, generally chosen by state parties, cast official ballots for president and vice president. And of course, the vote went not to change the outcome of the November 8 election, again promoting Trump and Vice President Mike Pence, and it also gave the White House to Trump after he won a majority of Electoral College votes. The popular vote, of course, went to Democrat Hillary Clinton, but the conclusion by U.S. intelligence agencies that Russia hacked into the emails of the DNC in a way to attempt to sway the election for Trump has prompted Democrats to urge some electors not to vote. So President Barack Obama says one of his missions after leaving office will be to develop a new generation of leaders on issues such as climate change, criminal justice reform, and expanding health insurance coverage. In a wide-ranging interview with NPR, Obama said he wants to ensure that young people working on those issues have whatever resources, credibility, spotlight that he can bring to help them raise up. Obama said in the interview that the issues he cares most about will be well served when the new generation moves into positions of authority. He also said Republicans have been systematic in building from the ground up, while Democrats have had a bias toward national and international issues. Obama said he leaves office with some ideas about how to build up the party, but he says he'll serve more as an advisor, coach, and friend. Jerusalem kicked off Christmas season and festivities with a local Santa on a camel distributing Christmas trees to residents in the old city of Jerusalem. The cheerful bell-ringing Santa who rode a camel to the site walked back and forth on the old city's wall, calling on residents to come and pick out a tree free of charge. Jerusalem, with Christians believed to be the site of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, is a tourist attraction for tens of thousands of pilgrims each year. But during the holiday season, it is second to the West Bank city of Bethlehem that prides itself with being the birth town of Christ. Addressing conflicts in the Middle East, the acting Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Pier Battista Pizzaballa, said the passing year was difficult and challenging and called for an end to violence. And across the Atlantic in the United States, the Universal Studios Hollywood theme park in Los Angeles is embracing Christmas with a very special Grinchmas celebration. Grinchmas is named after a well-known legendary figure in America, the Grinch. He first appeared as the main character of the 1957 Christmas story, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In that story, the Grinch tried to put an end to Christmas by stealing all the Christmas presents from the homes of the nearby town on Christmas Eve. But Whoville's inhabitants still celebrate the holiday, so the Grinch returns everything that he stole and becomes the guest of honor at the Who's Christmas dinner. The grumpy anti-holiday spirit of the character has led to the term Grinch. It has since become an icon of Christmas, and visitors are having a good time watching and singing and dancing under the 18-meter twisted Christmas tree and playing with people dressed as characters from the story How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Puerto Rico's Stephanie Del Val was crowned Miss World as the beauty queen beat out the competition to take first prize at the coveted beauty pageant. 19-year-old Del Val was clearly surprised by her win as television footage of the moment she was declared Miss World showed. The first runner-up of the pageant was held at the National Harbor near D.C., but she was Yaritza Miguelina of the Dominican Republic, and in third place was Natasha Manuela from Indonesia. Contestants from more than 100 countries take part in the Miss World beauty pageant every year.
Stephanie Del Val from Puerto Rico is Miss World 2016.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. Lebanon's Saad Hariri officially assumes the office of Prime Minister and is welcomed at the Grand Sarai by an honor guard. Russian investigators working to determine whether the assassination of their ambassador to Turkey was the work of a lone gunman or a wider conspiracy. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says the authorities believe the deadly rampage on a Christmas market in Berlin was a terrorist attack likely committed by an asylum seeker. Those are your Tuesday headlines live on Future Television. I'm Yumna Nofal signing off. Have a good one.
نريد لبنان ملتقى وفاق عربي